Hello, and welcome to the CEO Roundtable, Bridging Asia. This is David Kim, your host. I'm founder of Northside Capital, senator at World Business Angels Investment Forum. In this podcast, I'm interviewing the entrepreneur and business owner of rising startup and SMEs around the world. I'm going to feature people I find inspiring and unique and introduce their interesting work story and their advices. I hope you enjoy. Today's guest is Tomoko Yakushigawa in Kenya. She is a founder and chief executive of Alphajiri. Now we all know that the agriculture supply chain is problematic in Africa. Alphajiri has been developing social infrastructure called Alpha ecosystem, whereby rural community in Africa can combat the poverty and stand on their own feet. She spent the first 3 years in Migori County to organize the rural small-scale farmers into what they call as Alpha-Chama, kind of a private farmers co-op equipped with a rotating saving and credit club. Since the establishment, Tomoko has put so much emphasis on education of farmer, development of Alpha-Chama, farm training, and the concept of contract farming business. Tomoko has introduced many different business models to establish the supply chain, such as wholesale to the food processing company, selling in the open air market, delivery of 100 farm produce to a restaurant and hotels, and finally, retail grocery, Alphajiri green grocery. She recently launched to deal with the impact from the current global economic crisis.
Alphajiri is my basis to pursue how human society should be in happiness in harmony with nature. It's also my basis to create new values in the society. I like to pursue and create rather than achieve goals or compete. Alphajiri is a social business company, so we obviously exist to solve social problems through business. But rather than just solving problems, I want to keep pursuing the ideal society and keep creating new values. Our vision is to create Alpha ecosystem, which develops social infrastructure in rural small-scale farmers' communities. We believe that rural small-scale farmers' life is a prototype of ideal human lifestyles because it gives a very basic reason for being to them. The whole family members are involved in production of their food. They live in harmony with nature, and the neighbors help each other as if they are real family.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you too.
I just found an interesting thing about your name. Let me start with an icebreaker. Your name is Yakushigawa Tomoko, right?
Yes.
That's
correct.
her name. Yeah. I understand in many countries, the family name oftentimes represent the profession of ancestor, right? Like a baker, tailor, and carpenters. So do you think it is the case that your ancestors' profession were the pharmacist?
I am not sure actually.
But
actually,
literally it means, right? Literally
literally means yaku meaning like pharmacy, like medicine.
Yes.
She means professor.
Yes.
Kawa means river.
Yes, yeah. I read it, right? So I imagine that your ancestor running the pharmacy nearby the river.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Okay, yeah. First of all, I am Japanese and grew up in Japan until 18 years old. When I was small, I really liked to paint. So I thought that like in elementary school and junior high school, I thought that I would be a painter. But at the same time, my interest was like since I don't know from when, but I started to think, how can I contribute to the society by solving the problem of inequality in the world? I really believe that people work. Anybody should work for the purpose of contributing to the society. So when I was thinking about going to the university, I just also thought about working for the United Nations. So since my sister also went to United States to study in the university in Texas, so I thought that it would be a good opportunity to go there as well and have gained professional English skills and also having a global view for my future career. So I thought that I would be proceeding to the master's degree in the United States. But as the time approaching to graduate from the university, I still didn't know in what field, specifically in what field of study I should deepen and for the related to the career as the officer in the United Nations. So I didn't know, I didn't have any ideas. Then I just thought that, okay, instead of going to grad school, let me just work. So I went back to Japan and I entered into a certain bank in Japan. And I worked there for 2.5 years. But I still had been seeking for my true calling. What should I do in my life? And how can I contribute to the society as I imagined in the childhood? So I decided to go to Africa. I thought that, okay, let me just quit my job as a banker and I should go to Africa and directly see what I can do to correct the social inequality. Then I decided to use the volunteer program that JICA, a Japanese governmental organization, offers to find out what specific issue I can address to. So with that program, I was dispatched to Kenya, and that's when I first landed on African soil.
When did you move to Kenya, and what brought you to Kenya?
Yes, I first moved to Kenya in 2014. And JICA volunteer program is a direct cause reason of coming to Kenya. I found that the program was interesting in Kenya, so I just applied for the program.
I misread your company name. I read it
Alphajiri.
Yes, but I thought it is Alphagar. And what Alphajiri mean? And how did you how did you choose that name?
Okay, Alphajiri means in Swahili which means dawn or sunrise, early morning. I came up with and actually in Swahili, the dawn, as I said, and I got that name because I thought that I was so much inspired how Kenyan rural farmers work from the early morning, and they work so hard using cows and with their hands and using their hoes with hands and farm every day. And also even they walk very far to the river and get water, put the water jerry can on their head and walk back very long distance. So I was so much impressed how hardworking they are from the morning. So I thought that, okay, I came to Kenya because I want to develop their society and also support them, work with them, hands in hand with them. So that's the reason why I came to Kenya. And I didn't want to forget about the reason I came to Kenya and the aspiration, the first aspiration. So I just put the name as Alphajiri so that I will not forget about the beginning. And also I just changed the spelling to ALPH because it's a Greek alpha. Alpha also means beginning.
Right.
So yeah, together with Greek alpha and Alphajiri dawn, I thought that it's a really good name, not to forget about our beginning.
I think you already explained a little bit, but let me ask you this question again. I understand you studied in US and used to work at the bank and Norin Chukin for a few years, which is basically, I understand, Agricultural Bank of Japan. How did you get into the business idea, start Alphajiri?
Well, that business idea came up only after I came to Kenya. Before that, I didn't have any business idea. I just really wanted to contribute to the society, only that idea. But when I came to Kenya, I just thought that, first of all, the biggest problem of rural Kenya is about supply chain. Supply chain is the problem because majority of farm produce in Kenya is produced by smallholders. So buyers, they need to rely on the produce from smallholders, not from the large farmers. But smallholders cannot often meet the demand of buyers, like in terms of quantity, quality, and also time to sell. I thought that we need to be somebody who can connect, who can just match the demand of buyers and also solve the problem of small-scale farmers. That is how I got the idea when I was a volunteer and looking at the reality of rural small-scale farmers.
So you work at the JICA, Japanese government agency that provides support toward development needs of the emerging market. Which is a big organization. I can imagine they have a huge budget to support that idea and program of their initiative. You decide to leave the JICA and then try to set up the business and become independent. What made you decide to leave JICA and become independent, pursue your dream? And
well, first thing was the major reason was about speed, because I see that the problem is in front of me, and many problems are going on right now. But when we want to approach the problem, we need to just submit the applications, and we need to work with many stakeholders and wait for the project to be passed by the top layer of JICA government people. If we wait for that, the problem is worsened, or somebody who needs the solution, they just wait for it and they don't see any progress. That's the biggest problem. Social problems need to be solved in a timely manner. So I thought that although solving social problem is very difficult, so we need to work with many stakeholders, but I thought that speed also is needed. So that is why I just decided to be independent.
Yeah, it makes sense. Social issue in the emerging and frontier market, but we cannot run the process to solve the problem. Current situation, global pandemic, everybody looking for the solution to the many issues and the problem they have every day, but no one has answer for that. Based on process, nobody can solve the issue. So that's why there's so many country and then people have a issue every day. So I think same thing apply to the social problem emerging on the frontier market. Cannot, mass produce the solution for every emerging market or community, I guess. So I understand. What is a Chama? Is it the Alphajiri's ecosystem? And how does that work?
Yeah, so Chama, that word Chama means party in Swahili, and we call it Alpha-Chama because it's Alphajiri's Chama. And this Alpha-Chama is the basis of our vision, which is Alpha ecosystem. So how it works is you can Google like a professional term called ROSCA, which is Rotating Credit and Saving Association, which is everywhere all over the world. Especially it's working very well in developing countries. And that's a group of individuals that acts as an informal financial institution. In a Chama, the members, they have a meeting regularly and collect small amount of money each has. So they save the money in the group's account and they discuss how to use the money. So sometimes they buy some equipment or something which is costly for the group itself, or they just decide to lend the group's money to specific members. So that financial connections, that relationship through that informal financial institutions, it really gives very good energy to the poor communities, and it works as their safety net. So they deepen the spirit of mutual assistance. So even if somebody is in a crisis, they don't have any money, or they don't have food, or they are sick, still that group can help each other. So that is the basis of our ecosystem we are trying to develop.
So you have function of rotating financing cooperative, whatever we call it. You have that function within the Chama?
Yes, each Chama has that function.
So in Japanese, what do you call? I understand every country in Asia have a similar tradition, very long-lasting tradition of that. Rotating financing cooperative or the group, right? You have in Japan too, right?
In Japan, it seems like it worked like 300 years ago. or
Yes.
200 years ago, until like there's a very specific, like very strict regulation about finance regulation
I
by the
see.
government. Yeah, they had such informal system, and it seems like they called it Tano Moshikoko in Edo period. It's very long time ago, like it's 300 years ago. It seems like they did the same thing in Japan.
So it has become illegal in Japan now.
Well, yeah, I think so, because it is informal. So
Oh,
they
informal.
just put interest, which is not allowed
Right.
among individuals. Yeah, so developed countries, maybe they disappeared because
Right.
the legal financial institution is so stable. Yeah, but
Right.
in developing countries, I think that the informal sectors, informal financial institutions always have the major take the major role in rural areas. So I think it's working many places in Africa, maybe South America, like that.
In Korea, we still have it.
Really?
In Korea, yeah. And then I think in most of the Chinese community, even including overseas Chinese, they have it. They have it. So it's Korean financial, supervisor organization. They don't consider if in principle it is illegal, like trading or self-financing, or considered that way, they are flexible. They're okay with, because beside the financing, rotating financing function, it also serve as like a private or personal, social growth, because they drink together every month and have a dinner together. So financing is not only the function; it's more like a union or group or a reunion group, something like that. So unless it is a very large scale, and then look like more like a financial institution's activity, government is okay with that. So I understand most of the Chinese community in Asia, they have something like that to some extent.
Yeah, actually, that story reminds me something. I heard that in Okinawa Prefecture. It's a southern Japan.
Right.
They are like they still have a name called Yui. It's called Yui, but the same thing as Rosca. They are not putting interest because it's like a banking business, but they just give each person pay, like, for example, 5,000 shilling, and that 5,000 shilling is given to one of the members, and the next month they give another 5,000 each and give to the next person. That one, I think they are still doing it. Yeah,
that's it. So
yes.
they are not really one person, adding the interest rate on top of the principal. Just they are collecting money together. If the one of the member within the group need the money at specific time, he apply. He said, I need the money, then he get all the money from the proceed other people's contribute at that specific month.
Right, exactly.
So of course I'm also the ex-banker, so I can calculate, the embedded interest rate, but people don't do that way. They just consider that helping each other, supporting each other. In little bit in a financial way, right? People perceive it more as a social security net rather than the financing.
Yes, that's correct. Exactly, yeah.
So you are doing that in Chama, Alphajiri is a Chama.
What is it again?
You are doing exactly same thing in the Alphajiri Chama in Kenya.
Right. So using that strong community relations, we just introduce many services to that Chama group.
Okay. Yeah. What is the positive feedback you are getting from the members of Alpha-Chama these days?
They say that they can just they can get money for school fees, and also like when family members die, they can get some finance from the members. That is they say that it is a very good safety net for them. At the same time, because we give many services to Alpha-Chama, especially market, so they say that they are so much motivated as a farmer to try new products, because we just give them market for many kinds of crops. So they say that, okay, I never knew that such kind of vegetables can be sold in the market and there is demand. They didn't know it. So let me try. I want to try more new things, and they want to gain more professional skills. business, they want to be business oriented farmer. They are so much motivated about the safety net, the Alpha-Chama itself as a safety net, but also they want to make more progress and want to learn something. They are so much encouraged.
A member of your Alpha-Chama feel more motivated and excited about
Right.
activity you guys doing with Alpha-Chama.
Yeah. They are actually like, they don't know anything. They even don't have smartphones. So they don't do internet and they don't get new information at all. So every day they are actually bored. And not only they are poor and they are suffering from lack of money and lack of education, but also they are so much bored. But that encouragement, they get so stimulated by many trainings by Alphajiri to Chama group, and and also even the field officers. Field officers are our permanent employees, and those staff members. They come, they visit every day to each farm. So they are so much motivated, and they like to talk, and they get new information from field officers. So such kind of daily encouragement makes them like so happy, and they want to move on to the next step as a farmer.
We are living in the very challenging time due to the global pandemic. So are you trying anything new to deal with this situation in Kenya?
Yeah, especially we have been changing the business model because of the pandemic. Actually, we just had a very bitter experience because of the pandemic. We used to, for the market, as a market for Alpha-Chama members, we used to sell their crops to restaurants, hotels, and also schools and hospitals. We did the wholesale delivery. But because of pandemic, all closed down. Suddenly, no restaurant, no hotels, and even school, they all closed their business. So we just lost the market. But because of the pandemic, I thought that, okay, let me move on to, let me seek for the market for individual consumers, because people cannot live without eating food. So they have to cook at home. They even don't go to the restaurant. They don't want to go outside. Then why don't we start looking for the market, individual consumers market? We opened up a greengrocer in Nairobi. Then we just started to achieve profitability from last month. So I think that is one of the new trials since pandemic happened.
I mean, F&B and then all those business education, and they're mostly, most hard hit sector in, around the world.
Right, yeah. Oh yeah, the school started to open, but slowly open, and also even like a restaurant and hotels, many of them are still closed. Some of them started to open.
Yes.
Those sectors were really affected.
Yes, it'll take a long time. I mean, even if we see the gradual recovery, because people still feel afraid of traveling abroad by airplane. Also, the airline business, they don't provide a lot of option to the people. So we cannot see a lot of foreign tourists into each other country.
Yeah, exactly. Because hotels and many high-end restaurants, their target is the foreigners, but they don't come, so it takes time to recover.
Actually, I read one of the consulting report analyzed the negative impact of a global pandemic about the industry, and then also positive impact. Which industry will get the benefit from the pandemic? The change of consumer behavior and the new normal. Say that one of the top 5 industry which will get benefit from the new normal is grocery business.
Wow.
So you have a right solution to deal with the situation and setback, I guess.
Okay, according to the article, it seems like I made the right decision.
Right. And then focusing, you can leverage because, based on their report, people try try to move from the like offline consumption to the digital world, the online.
Yeah.
So delivery. If you
Yes.
add up
Mhm.
the more characteristic color of that approach, maybe you can grow business much quicker, I guess.
I'm also I'm also feeling like so because when I opened a greengrocer, like different from my expectation, the number of customers, they didn't increase much. But when I started to advertise about delivery, actually the number of delivery order, it has increased. It has been increasing a lot. Yeah.
Also, retail is, I think retail might be future of the profitable business, right? So dealing with the wholesale business, that's the easy way to grow the business in a scalable way, of course. But problem is that very difficult to deal with the wholesale buyer, right?
Yes, yes.
And
It
then
is
you
very
you
difficult.
cannot manage your profit margin.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
if you deal with a large corporation, for example, Japanese trading company like big buyer like that, if you grow very quickly, someday your buyer become the risk.
Yeah,
Right?
that is correct. That
Yeah.
is right.
But retailer, I mean, they're honest and also is a great portfolio. So they're honest. As long as you provide a good value and good price, there is no risk. So
Yeah, exactly. Good portfolio, actually.
all those in the IT business, wholesalers, all of them actually gone. For those
Yeah.
IT wholesaler, they used to have very big business. But now all the big player like Apple and Samsung, all retailer, they're selling the product to the consumer and retail buyer. Then is you don't have a business risk as long as you have good business model, good product, and right price. I think your transition, in my personal opinion, look like a perfect solution and
Yeah.
perfect transition.
I'm also feeling like so right now. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, share with a friend, and drop me a review. Bye.